Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Stories That Inspire Us. My name is Janice Malillo, your host, and today's Friday, May the 12th. I am so excited to interview my guest today. You know, we've all heard about energy healing, and we're going to get into a lot of conversation about that today. But I want to introduce Tenya Eickenberg. She's a certified life and self-care coach. She's had amazing benefits from energy healing that has made some incredible positive changes without medication. And we'll get into that in just a moment. Without medication and that therapy, and of course therapy that she could not achieve otherwise. And I think that is, in this day and age, is so phenomenal. Welcome to the Stories podcast, Tenya.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Now, excuse me, when someone I think hears energy healing, let me back up a little bit. I'm a former licensed massage therapist, and I had my schooling in my early 40s. And that's when I started to learn about energy healing. And I think what really it still amazes me to this day, the power, the significance that energy healing can have on one's not only physical health, but their social and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something that has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and that somehow we just got away from.
And that is so true. And we think back to, for instance, when we were kids and, different things that we went through. And as time has evolved, in some respects, I don't understand why we don't look toward energy healing more. I mean, the benefits they're really mind-blowing.
They are. I think we get more away from it because we're conditioned that the person in the white coat that comes in with their clipboard is the only one who is educated enough to help us with our problem. But the disconnect there is that there's one doctor for one disease, there's another doctor for another disease, and then you have your family practitioner who's supposed to be kind of versed in a lot of different things. But unless they really know what's going on with this organ or with that system, they really have to guess where to send you. So it's all still just a guessing game. And I think with energy healing, because there's so many different modalities out there, that energy can kind of find, for the most part, what the root cause is. And while it may take several sessions to clear out whatever that root cause is, sometimes it can happen overnight. I mean, there have been stories of energy healing just miraculously healing somebody from something, but it can also take time. But a lot of people, they just feel like a number when they go see their doctor anymore. And I think energy healers are more empathetic, and they take more time to really understand what's going on with the client.
And something very key that you said there, energy healers take more time. And I think, and while we are not by any means bashing the medical profession,
not at all. Not at all.
When you go see your doctor, for instance, they're hearing you, but I don't think that they're listening to a certain extent. Oh, you have gallbladder problems? Well, okay, well, let me send you to a surgeon to get your gallbladder taken out. And while in some cases, sure, that is necessary, and I'm of course referring to my own issue that I have, come to find out that I technically do not have a gallbladder problem. Just a little bit of a function that releases is very slow and lethargic. And I thought to myself, Tenya, wow, I am really glad I did not take my physician's advice and go see a surgeon.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been many stories of people who've been misdiagnosed. They might have um, chronic fatigue and nausea and body pain, and they automatically get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, when in fact they might have Lyme's disease. And there's so many different variations of Lyme disease
Mhm.
that our regular labs only test for one. So you should be going to see a doctor who's versed in all those Lyme's diseases so that they can test to see which one it is that you have. With energy healing, we work mostly on, at least I do, mostly on the emotional side of what is impacting us, because our emotions are created by our organs, and our organs can become depleted in their own energy because we're holding on to all of these emotions, or we're holding on to all of these beliefs. And that can in turn cause physical pain. So, I mean, our bodies are designed to heal themselves. They're not designed to be sick. But if we're not processing our emotions,
Mhm.
or talking about our feelings, or living our life that is in alignment with what we desire, we tend to deplete ourselves, and then that's when we start to get those physical pains or those illnesses start to pop up.
Right. And of course, with all that comes a lot of stress. And we know that stress is
Mhm.
probably the number one instigator of inflammation in the body, along with several other things, So we're not only looking at the emotional well-being, we're looking at the physiology. We're looking at obviously the medical part, and how all of that relates back to how we are feeling. And you said it so eloquently that our bodies are designed to heal ourselves.
They are. They are. But if you have these, I like to look at our energy imbalances as those little prickly things that you get on your socks when you walk through the field. They just kind of stick to your socks, but they're annoying. Well, if you had a bunch of those sitting around in your body, they start to cause scratches and inflammation on the skin. And that's exactly what these energies do, is they just start to like eat away at what's going on inside, and it comes out in physical form. So anxiety, other mental illnesses, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, it all manifests from an emotional trigger or emotional trauma. Um, 90% of our illnesses, they have no idea how they manifest, what actually causes them. So
And
all they do is treat the symptoms.
right, it's like a masking, I call it a masking process. Go to the doctor, get a prescription. Like that,
Mhm.
that is like kind of easy in a sense.
Yeah, it is easy.
And we're not getting, in most cases, the relief that we really need.
Right.
I want to take you back to your story, the story behind your story, because I think it's really so significant, the type of work that you are doing today. How did you become, well, first of all, I should say, can you share with us the backdrop of your story and why you love doing what you do today?
Of course, I love talking about myself. So I grew up in with a mother who was diagnosed around 27 or 28 years old with bipolar disorder. And she was managing it the best way that she could. However, growing up in a home with someone who had emotional roller coasters was not always great to grow up in. And on the other flip side, my dad, who was trying to deal with all of this and four children, um, dealt with it in the best way that he could. Again, probably not the best emotional home to grow up in, but I was always told that I have to be careful because, mental illness runs in the family. Somebody's going to have to deal with it. And so I have no memories from before 8 years old. um, and I grew up on kind of an emotional roller coaster. I always had some sort of anxiety, I felt like. although at the time I didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
And then when I turned, after I had my first daughter, was the first time that I actually got on antidepressants. And I didn't really like how they made me feel, although I did feel a little bit better. I wasn't, crying all the time or didn't have emotional mood swings. I did gain weight. I felt a little numb with most of my emotions. And so I eventually would come off of them because I felt better. And then I would be, fine. I'd be comfortable for a couple years and then I would get back on them. And it was like that for several years. And in 2018, when life just kind of fell into place and everything looked like it was working out in our benefit, all three of my kids had graduated high school. My husband had graduated with his college degree. We were offered to purchase our forever home right off of the water. It all was wonderful, but on the inside, there was just something that was crushing me. And I didn't know exactly what it was. And in 2018, the only routes I knew what to take was, excuse me, was traditional medicine, was going to see a psychologist, excuse me, for medication or therapy. So, and this was like March or April of 2019. So it was the beginning of COVID. And so it was, you had to see a doctor on a televisit. So I went through my insurance and had an appointment with a doctor that I didn't even know.
Mm.
And we spent 15 minutes talking about how I felt, what was going on, and he prescribed me a medication. I'll see you in 6 to 8 weeks and we'll adjust it if needed. Okay. Found a talk therapist, spent the first 4 sessions getting to know me, getting to know my story, how I grew up, what my parents were like. And by 6 weeks, I was like, I'm not in a better place than I was 6 weeks ago. If anything, I feel more let down, more numb because I wasn't getting any results. And I was sitting at my desk and I said, there's one of two things that's going to happen. I'm either going to find something that is going to heal this, that is going to get rid of it once and for all, so that I never have to feel like this again, or I'm going to run my vehicle into a telephone pole so I can get a couple weeks off, so I can just rest and do nothing. Because that's what I felt like. I felt like everything was coming at me and I couldn't control any of it. And so I did a Google search for emotional holistic healing because I wanted to go a natural route. I didn't want to be on medication. And I found a modality called the Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson from Discover Healing. And at first I was like, really? Muscle testing and looking for trapped emotions, can this really work? But a little voice inside me said, you need to look into this. You need to research it. You need to take the time and really dive into this. And so I did. I watched YouTube videos. I made appointments with a couple practitioners. I even signed up for one of the webinars because I was like, if I'm going to understand this, I really want to understand it. And by the end of the webinar, I signed up to get my certification so I could heal myself. Wow. Because I just wanted to learn it. And I was determined to heal my mental illness, because I didn't want my children to have to deal with it, because you don't want to pass things on to your kids that are going to make life harder for them. And so within 9 months of going to the doctor to get on medication, getting the 2 certifications through Discover Healing, I had healed my anxiety and depression about 80%.
Wow.
And that was through just when I was learning how to do this. And I was probably finding things that weren't even there, but I didn't care. I was like, I need to heal. And then I was like, well, there's still something missing. What else is there? What else could there be that I need to look at or I need to address. And I was in a coaching program and they started talking about meditation and journaling and self-care. And I was like, well, I can't spend that much time on myself because I have to take care of the house. Even though I had adult children, I still had a full-time job. I still have a husband. We had 2 kids still living at home. I was like, I don't think I have time for this. And something kept telling me, you have the time, you need to make the time. You need to make this. This is your homework. You need to do this every day, just like you brush your teeth. And so I started looking more into what self-care was and how important it was. And that I was astonished that I hadn't been taught to really take care of myself. And at this point, I was 44 years old. And I never really knew how to take care of myself. I would go and get a massage once in a while, or, go out for dinner with the girls or something like that. But I never really stopped to take care of myself. And when I started to implement daily meditation, journaling, learning how to set boundaries and saying, no, I can't do that right now. I'm too tired. Or no, my plate is pretty full today. Can I do that tomorrow? And learning that my emotions were not going to hurt me, that if I was feeling angry or frustrated, that it was okay to step away and allow those feelings to come up and move out and understand why I was having them. And I learned that a lot of times those emotions weren't even mine. I was feeling everybody else's emotions around me. And so all those years previous, these emotions that I was feeling that might not have even been mine, I was taking on. And that was adding to my mental unwellness.
Wow. First of all, you go from how you were feeling to knowing that something wasn't right, seeking the medical advice, yet taking that step further. And you attend this webinar, you obtain certifications, 80% healed yourself going through the course.
Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal. There's not enough adjectives to describe that.
And I 2 months after starting self-care, I was 100% healed.
To me, that is phenomenal beyond words. And you're so right. When we, especially for women, I think when we think of self-care, we're like, oh, no, don't have enough time for that. Yet there was something in you that knew the value of that knew that it would help you out. We're not really sure. Okay, well, I'll try it. Thank God you did.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the easiest things through this whole process was telling my family, I'm going to meditate. I'm going downstairs for half an hour. And they're like, okay. Like it didn't, like I had created those stories in my head. And I know many women do it, that their family is not going to be supportive. And you'd be surprised how supportive your family is when you tell them what you're doing, when you tell them, hey, I need this time. If you have little kids and you have a gym membership and there's a daycare, take them to the daycare for an hour. Even if you don't work out and you want to sit at the juice bar for an hour and read a book, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think what's amazing too is in a short amount of time that you healed yourself and realizing that all these years you had been carrying the perception of others, realizing that you had to learn the self-care, set those boundaries. And I love what you said about no, because no is a complete sentence, folks, and does not need any explanation. And that's all about setting the boundaries too. In just a short amount of time. Phenomenal.
Yeah, in retrospect, yeah, it was a really short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I know when we're in it, it doesn't seem like a short amount of time, but when you have kids, you look back and go, where did the time go?
Mhm.
You know, my oldest is going to be 27 this year, and it's like, where did the last 27 years go? You know, and I really wish I had learned all of these skills when I was a kid, because I can't imagine where I would be today if I had those skills then.
Oh my gosh, that is so true, and my son will be, let's see, he'll be 36 in August, and when we look back at those significant events in our lives, like how much better, maybe I shouldn't say how much better, but how
How much
more,
different.
how much different, how much more enhanced our lives would be with not only ourselves but our loved ones.
Right. You know, how could I have helped my children to be more emotionally intelligent, you
Mhm.
know, instead of putting them in timeout and saying, think about what you did, and really learning to have those conversations with them about what they did. Like, that was the stuff that I didn't know as a young mother, to have those conversations. Where
Mhm.
now, having that emotional intelligence that I do now, and knowing how to set boundaries and how to teach how to set boundaries, it it would make a huge difference in our kids' lives. Excuse me.
And and you're absolutely right. However, we know what we know when we know it, and
Supposed to be.
you've learned from it in such a very profound way, where you're to the point, obviously, where you're helping others. What about your, and I just got to come out and say this, and I may have said this to you before when we met for our pre podcast chit chat. You need to write a book, girlfriend.
I've been told that I need to write a book. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, I see a bestseller coming out soon. So now you've developed your practice, and now you're in the position to help others. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I love it. I love it so much. The When my clients go through the program, and about halfway through they realize that possibly a lot of the stuff that they were holding on to wasn't even theirs, like, why would I even agree to do this? Like, I was living so long in this comfortable state, and it's why would I take all of that on? Why wasn't didn't I learn this earlier? Why did I wait so long to understand that I could feel this good? You know, when you wake up in the morning and you're happy and excited for the day, just because you get up and you get to do laundry and you get to do the dishes and you get to go to work, and you see that silver lining everywhere you go, it is such a much better perspective on life than getting up and saying, oh, I can't do Mondays. Instead, you turn around and go, it's Monday. I wonder what wonderful things are going to happen today. And I don't want people to think of this as positive toxicity, but this is just the life that I have created for myself. I don't allow negativity to infiltrate my bubble, because it's not welcome, because there's no need for it.
wow. What are some strategies? Like, you mentioned meditation, of course, and journaling, uh,
Mhm.
which is very significant. And obviously, in this digital world, everything we can do from our cell phones, like everything, even run our
Yeah.
businesses. What are some tips and strategies other than what we've discussed? Like something that you always go back to that perhaps you never did. That has been just so enlightening for you.
Have you ever heard of the four agreements?
Yes.
So I try to live by the four agreements, which is Always be impeccable with your word, not only with other people, but with yourself. So keep your thoughts in check. When you start feeling those negative thoughts come in, flip them around. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume that people are going to act the way you think they're going to act. Always do your best and never take anything personally, because you never know where that other person is coming from. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know their story. And that comes from, when people are upset and hurt, they tend to hurt other people because they don't know how to deal with it. But I try to live by those 4 agreements, and I read that book several times a year just as a reminder, because when you can come from those places, it's amazing how different your perspective on life becomes.
Wow. I do have that book over there somewhere, and I will definitely be pulling that out. It is a wonderful book, and it's such a great reminder and a great reference, and really solidifies why those 4 agreements are really that important. Tenya, do you have time? And first of all, I want to welcome all of our amazing listeners currently on the Wisdom Audio app. I see some familiar names, so thank you so much for being here today. Do you have time? Maybe perhaps we can invite somebody up and maybe they have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Or like to contribute to the conversation.
Of course.
Wonderful. Okay, Wisdom. I see a lot of familiar faces on here. We have time for one guest to come up on stage if you'd like to contribute to the conversation, or perhaps you have a question for Tenya. We would love for you to come up on stage. Tenya, while we are waiting for somebody to potentially come up, how can our listeners and viewers connect with you further?
So you can go to my website, designyourexistence.com. Facebook and Instagram are the same. I also have a group on Facebook, Healing Anxiety Holistically for Women. I do primarily work with women, but I am not, I will work with men as well. It's just that's where most of my clientele tends to come from.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we are going to, we have a guest joining us. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Welcome, Dr. Robert James. How are you today, sir?
Oh, great. I'm getting ready to upload this book, and just hearing you talking, and the other lady saying, write your book, man, I heard so many people say that, and the thing of writing your book, you write your history.
That is so true. It's actually Dr. Robert James Goodman. Dr. Goodman, do you have any questions or would like to chat with Tenya?
Well, I just want to acknowledge that, the thing of me writing my book, and the what's the word here? Inspiring us to, that's her name,
Tenya. Yeah, I was getting that messed up on.
Okay.
And Tenya's chuckling right now. Dr. Goodman, and by the way, congratulations on writing your book. Would you mind telling Tenya, and I know that she knows this and other people have told her, well, why it's important for her to write her book?
Well, the first thing is just what I said. You're writing your history, and you have the opportunity to share that, and other people read that. The quote, George Washington sailed the Delaware River in a rowboat. People's been talking about that, forever. And when I first read it, I think I was in the 5th grade, and I'm 65 years old. But is still talked about. So it's the history and it's who you are, and once you put it down as it's history. I mean, that's what I have to keep saying to myself, because it's something that you can share with other people, as well as other people can learn about you. So you put down the opportunity for other people to learn from you, as well as they learn from others.
And Dr. Goodman and Tenya, the significance of writing your book is, I think, a further extension of your story, as Dr. Goodman said, like writing down your history. I mean, all these books that are on my desk right here, and Dr. Goodman, I know that you cannot see them right now, but these are what I'm trying to get at is, Tenya, your book will be over here one day. So you need to put it on your big goal list and get going with it. Because of course, I have the author series as well. So Dr. Goodman, of course, keep us posted on the status of your book. And I think the great thing too about your book is, excuse me, obviously it can be, in hand or, through KDP. And what an amazing way, Tenya, to share your story to inspire others, because, as we all know, of course, mental health history, May is mental health awareness month. And what better way, Dr. Goodman and Tenya, to share these stories? I mean, we need that hope and inspiration.
Yeah, and mine is on me being dyslexic and finding out in the 5th grade, and ending up with a PhD in philosophy and a bachelor's in humanity.
Wow.
But it easily gave up. But I done taught so many people. I taught at the university there in California for 22 years, and it's just so many people still call and talk to me, and they said how much my life can change after talking to you. And it wasn't all about the money. I was creating affinity with the people.
And that is so important. And Dr. Goodman, thank you so much for your time in coming up on the stage. And Tenya, that's why, like, your story, I can't tell you how many times, for instance, I've read your bio.
Thank you.
I'm like, you're welcome. I'm like, damn, like, which of course confirms for me that, providing a platform to share other people's stories in the hopes of, creating that ripple effect, which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. And of course, as Tenya mentioned, you can reach her through her website, Facebook, Instagram, and of course she has her Facebook group. And I will, of course, make sure all of that information is in the show notes. This has been such an amazing conversation. I say this a lot, but we've only just scratched the surface. Tenya, I want to thank you so much for your time today, sharing your raw and vulnerable story in a way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, in a way that honors and inspires others. Wow. My name is Janice Malillo, the host of Stories That Inspire Us. I am inspired today by my amazing guest, Tenya Eickenberg. Thank you all so much. And one more thing. If you have a story to share, someone needs to hear your story, please feel free to reach out to me. You can hit me up on my the Truly Your VA website, or of course the Stories website, and all that information will be available to you. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much, everyone, and happy Mother's Day to you, Tenya, this upcoming Sunday.
Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you so much. And to all you amazing moms out there, take time for your self-care. You're worth it. Bye for now. We'll see you again real soon.